Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shreya Patel. I am currently a policy analyst at Michigan Health Information Network, or MiHIN, and I want to welcome you all to MiHIN's first ever Legal Summit. Many of you who are familiar with our organization are aware that we're not only leaders in health IT, but we also like to stay at the forefront of policy and legal issues at both the state and the national level. For that reason, we are so excited that we are kind of able to include this legal summit as a kind of prelude to our annual Connecting Michigan for Health conference. This has kind of been our baby and our vision for the last year, so we're thrilled that we are able to see it through to completion, and we hope that all of you will enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed planning it for you. We have three main goals that we'd like to accomplish at the summit today. The first thing that we'd like to do is to discuss relevant topics that fall at the intersection of health information technology and the law. Next, we'd like to educate the community on Michigan's legal framework and kind of examine some of those areas where Michigan is a leader and where we're coming out at the forefront, but also examining some of those more problematic areas where we could improve ourselves a little bit more in comparison to other states. Lastly, we want to build a community of legal professionals. As much as we want this to be a really great educational event for everyone, we really want everyone to kind of embrace this networking opportunity. We have some of the top legal experts from all around the nation with us here today, both as speakers and as attendees. So we really hope that everyone will kind of take advantage of that and get to know each other and kind of build their own network of like-minded individuals. Before we kind of delve into the first topic of TEFCA, I'm going to pass it over to Jeff Livesay to get a little bit of a background on who we are, what MiHIN does, and what our current legal structure looks like.
Good morning, and thank you, Shreya. So thank you for coming. I hope you found some of that tasty chow in the back. You know, I think I've worked with many of you by phone, but I haven't actually met most of you. I'm that voice through the WebEx that refuses to budge on our dispute resolution language. So, but thank you for joining us today. I'm going to talk a little bit about what MiHIN is briefly for those of you who are maybe out-of-town guests. So in 2011, Michigan designated MiHIN as a state-designated entity to continuously improve the healthcare quality, efficiency, and patient safety by promoting the exchange of health information in a secure way. That does not mean that we're a health information exchange. A lot of people think that we are, but we're actually a network, and we're a growing network of public and private organizations working together to overcome challenges to share data electronically. And basically our mission is to advance the health of Michigan's population. So you see the picture of the plumbing? That's how you should think of MiHIN. MiHIN is a network. It's not a big mountain of data like a traditional HIE. In fact, I'll show you in the next slide, we have a lot of HIEs in Michigan, but MiHIN is not one of them. We're a network that connects all of the health information organizations throughout Michigan to move data around, just like water moves through plumbing. We don't have fixtures, okay? We don't have faucets or showers or bathtubs or other fixtures. Those are things like EHRs and HIEs and portals. We don't do that. We're the plumbing. We move the data around. In fact, MiHIN was created to implement a very efficient plumbing network because everyone left to their own devices has a tendency to connect to everyone else in healthcare. This is extremely inefficient and costly. It's an n times n minus 1 divided by 2 problem, according to some mathematicians. The more organizations you have trying to connect, the more connections you have, the greater the complexity, the greater the cost, and the bigger the mess. In Michigan, the model is to create a centralized plumbing network with MiHIN as the hub. Everyone connects once, everyone reports once, they have one set of legal agreements to join our trust fabric, which is now an extensive statewide trust fabric, and you send your data and publish it once. This is very efficient, and it works. So Michigan is a network of networks. This is the obligatory draw yourself in the center slide. MiHIN is the cloud in the middle. Those big blue lines represent very secure fat pipes. They're called, I'm going to geek out for you here for a moment. They're called IPsec, virtual private networks. And they can only be hacked if you physically break in to the data center. There is no external surface for attack through the public internet. And so over at about 3 o'clock, you see the virtual private network that tunnels through almost 200 firewalls into the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. That's one single point of entry and exit into and out of the state systems for public health information. We connect to a thing called a data hub, and that sort of connects to all of the registries and warehouses and silos of data within the state, such as the immunization information system we call MIHIN here in Michigan, the syndromic surveillance system, the disease surveillance system. All of those things connect to the data hub, which enables us to have one connection to MiHIN for public health information into and out of the state. Up at about 1 o'clock, you can see that we have 24 health plans, all 24 health plans operating in Michigan, connected through secure virtual private networks, and we share information with the health plans. That's everyone from United to Blue Cross Blue Shield to Aetna to the 10 regional prepaid inpatient health plans. Down at about 5:30, you see that there are 43 provider organizations that we connected through a state innovation models grant, or SIM grant. And then at about 6 o'clock, you probably see your favorite pharmacy. Today, you can walk into a Walmart pharmacy in Michigan, and you can ask for a flu shot, and they can send a query to MiHIN, and we can send it to MIHIN, the immunization information system, and we can get your history forecast back from the state, and we can send it to that Walmart pharmacist, who can then turn to you in real time and say, you know, you asked for the flu shot, but you're also due for this other shot, this other booster, and if you get it today, we'll give it to you for half off. So there's a chance to get you more current on your immunizations with that real-time two-way information, and of course, there's an upsell opportunity for Walmart. Few states are doing this. Down at about 7:30, you see health information exchanges. There are actually 13 qualified health information exchanges connected to MiHIN today, and I think there's a 14th one that is connecting. Those include health information exchanges like Gray Lakes Health Connect. They have 120 hospitals in their network. Okay, so they have the one connection from Gray Lakes Health Connect to us, but then they have their 120 hospitals that they connect to. That's why we call this a network of networks. Okay, we have the Upper Peninsula Health Information Exchange up high, which has, I think, 15 hospitals north of the bridge. Okay, so they bring their network into our network of networks. There are a lot of consumer types of organizations connected, consumer-facing organizations with apps. Other organizations like the Michigan Hospitals Association, Altarum, and certain large health systems have their own connections. Trinity, Michigan Medicine, Beaumont, PCE Systems, a lot of organizations, Henry Ford, are large enough that they want their own connection into the statewide network. They also connect to a health information exchange, okay, but for certain use cases, they want to connect directly to MiHIN. And then, of course, we have connections with Commonwealth and the eHealth Exchange, through which we can talk to the Social Security Administration and the VA and CMS. So that's our network of networks in Michigan. We've always been an HIN, and we were so excited to hear that TEFCA is going to qualify HINs to become qualified or QHINs in the national model. You're going to hear more about that soon from Steve Gravely and Nate Steed. So how do we do this? How do we get these organizations connected? Well, I geeked out and I told you about the big, fat, virtual private network pipe, but that's the easy part. Those things are easy. We can do those all day long. The hard part is getting people to sign the legal agreements and to get into the trust fabric. And what we created was a legal infrastructure for trusted data sharing organizations. And we have the heavyweight version that many of you entered into. It's called the Qualified data sharing organization agreement, and then we have the simple version that others of you entered into. They have HIPAA business associate terms, basic connection terms, service level agreement, requirements for cyber liability insurance, which you have to have today, and then the two favorite sections of all attorneys, indemnification and liability. We always like to talk about those. Then we have sections for contracting and payment, and that's where we might actually want to pay your organization to participate in a use case. We don't charge providers, never have never charged a penny to any providers in Michigan, have no plans to. We do charge the health plans. So when they sign these agreements, we might give them an SOW to pay us money. We have that dispute resolution section, which is our Play Nice Club section. Nobody sues anybody in the statewide fabric in Michigan. We have a advanced dispute resolution procedure that goes through a governance process and through our board of directors. And in 7 years of doing this, we have exercised that dispute resolution exactly 0 times. Everyone's playing nicely together. Thank you. And then we have term and termination. And underneath that, we have a master use case agreement. And underneath, we have these little things called use case exhibits or use case agreements. And they're like statements of work in a master contract. So let's say you want to get into the immunization use case. You get the use case exhibit for immunizations, and you review and execute just that. You don't have to send everything to us, and we don't have to send everything to you. We don't try to boil the ocean. You can pick a little bit at a time. If you just want encounter notifications or ADTs, you can pick just that. So each use case has its own purpose, its own type of information that we exchange, a description of the interactions between systems and people, and that's why we carve these use cases out. In fact, we built a factory. Okay, Michigan is a manufacturing state. We built the use case factory for manufacturing these data sharing widgets that we call use cases. So you see some examples of real use cases there. And we actually track these use cases. The ones on the left are conceptual, and our HIT Commission some years ago passed a policy that said anybody in Michigan can conceive of and propose a new use case. You can go right to our website and propose a new use case. It can go from concept to planning and development. If we get a sponsor and funding, then we can take it into the blue zone, which is a little fuzzy on this monitor. I don't know if you can see the blue zone. But those are the ones that have moved out of planning and development. They're in production, okay, but they're not mature yet. In the green zone are the use cases we call mature production. Those are the ones that have more than 65% adoption in the market, okay? More than 65% of the potential immunizations or ADTs are in production. For ADTs, we're at 99% of admissions in Michigan, so that's very mature production. Okay, so this legal fabric gives us a very clear chain of trust. You have a trusted data sharing organization on the left. You have MiHIN and the trust fabric in the middle, and you have a trusted data sharing organization on the right. Here's the chain of trust, okay? Many of you saw an earlier version of this slide when you were onboarding with our legal agreements. This is the nice conference edition. It's been cleaned up. Thank you for our marketing folks. So what this slide says is that we've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of legal agreements. I think there's more than 700 data sharing agreements that we've signed in the past 7 years with organizations like yours, lots of contracts, lots of use case exhibits, a lot of legal work, and you've all been a part of it. Thank you for your contribution to Michigan's legal fabric. Looking to the future, we have looked at our current legal structure and what's coming with the 21st Century Cures Trusted Exchange Framework and Common Agreement, more easily called TEFCA, that you're going to hear about next from Steve Gravely and Nate Steed. But basically, TEFCA is going to bring FHIR into the forefront of health information technology. And if you've been living on the dark side of the moon, FHIR is the new Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources from HL7. And at this very moment, we have about 90 programmers upstairs on the second floor having a FHIR Connect-a-thon. We have 13 FHIR servers connected into a ring of FHIR, and they're pretending to be health systems and health plans and provider organizations and sharing these FHIR resources and building some cool apps, playing with FHIR, because FHIR is coming, FHIR is spreading, and you're going to hear more about TEFCA and FHIR next from our guest speaker, starting with Steve Gravely. Steve?